Hey, Ghosts of Bacon fans, thanks for joining me tonight on our 47th episode of the Ghosts of Bacon. I'm your host, Jake Roberts, and it's going to be a quick show tonight. Not going to do a big dog and pony show for you folks. Just wanted to touch base. And those of you who are new to the information, I'm going to be giving a little bit of a background on who I am and what I've done and talk about where we're headed next. So that's going to, I'm trying to commit to doing shows like this, every fourth or fifth show, where just kind of touch base, do a little recap of where we've been and where we're headed. So want to give a quick shout out to all of the usual faces out there in the chat. Nice to see you guys. I see Tom, Jason, Jan, Ray. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate your support and your Carolyn, you're Barbara, Mary, Zantlo, Curtis. Thanks for joining me, gang. So basically what I want to do tonight, like I said, just giving you a quick overview of, what's gone on before and how did I arrive at doing this. My name, as I said, my name is Jake Roberts. I'm a member of the Francis Bacon Society, as well as the American Cryptogram Association. And so even though those are my, my street cred, what really happened was a while back, a good friend of mine, Chris Dona, was doing research for the Curse of Oak Island TV show on History Channel. And he and other researchers were looking at, in particular, Christopher Morford, were looking at the plaque that adorns the funerary monument of William Shakespeare in Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon. And Chris, knowing I had an interest in such things and an interest in ciphers, said, well, maybe you should take a look at it. And so I did. And so let me show you what that looked like. Let me share my screen here. And so what we have here is this plaque. Now, this is the plaque that adorns Shakespeare's funerary monument in Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon. And when I looked at this, I realized what I was looking at was something called a transposition cipher. And so what happened was I successfully decrypted it. And in doing so, revealed the hidden autobiography of Sir Francis Bacon, which turned into this book, The Holy Trinity Decryption. And as I said, the hidden autobiography of Sir Francis Bacon. And so after that came out, a large section of this book actually does have some research, my original research, for the Curse of Oak Island television show. People asked me if I could take out that information and turn it into its own book without all of the confusing cipher stuff. So that became this book, The Oak Island Treasure Maps, the hidden clues to the treasure vault of Sir Francis Bacon, which I believe is on Oak Island. And where I'm headed next, currently I'm in the middle of working on my next book, which is tentatively called The Keys of the Rosy Cross, and the subtitle is The Ghosts of Bacon. In it, I include many of Bacon's aliases, as he was a spy, as well as other hidden relationships with other people, and the Fraternity of the Rosy Cross in particular, who they actually were. And the answers are really going to surprise you. My research led me to actually doing a full decryption of Shakespeare's sonnets. I do not include the full decryption in my next book. It's just one chapter on Shakespeare and the works of Shakespeare. But I focus on the sonnets in that chapter, and I do decrypt several of them for you. And the information is no less shocking than my first book. And so when I look at, the discoveries I made from these cipher messages, the information is shocking. It's frankly unbelievable. It really begs credulity, and I get it. And so every time I put out one of my discoveries, I say, listen, no one's going to believe this, but, and then whatever follows the word but is one of the truths that's hidden by cipher. and revealed through Cipher. And so that's what I've been doing. And after I did this initially, with any good scientific method, you have to have others who, come along and, test your hypothesis and, using their methods and own independent research, either confirm or dispute what you found. And I've been very fortunate in that a few people have taken up the charge, in particular, Jason Mercer, who's watching this evening here. They're live with us tonight. My good friend Will Russell from the other side of the pond there over in England. They have been doing this research now along with me, and they have corroborated all of my findings 100%, and then some. Their own work, they have a wealth of information in and of themselves. Really can't wait to see what both of them have come up with lately, and I'm sure I'm going to be having them hear this. Jason, hint, hint. You guys come on the show here in upcoming episodes and share what you found most recently. And also, one of my Ghosts of Bacon subscribers on YouTube, Adam Thomas, reached out to me recently. And Adam, if you're watching live tonight, shout out to you. And if you're watching this later recorded, I want to send you a big thank you. He revealed to me that he has found a whole series of messages in the Tempest. Now, we've all know that through the work of Peter Amundsen and others, that the Tempest is definitely has hints of Cipher, but it sounds to me like Adam has really kind of come through. He was really pretty excited about his findings, and I can't wait to have him on the show and share with all of you what he's found as well. And in his words, it corroborates everything I've said. And so I really appreciate that, Adam, you coming on board with your own decryptions. And what I've really sought to do in the show is make my methods open source, standard cryptology methodologies, standard operating procedures in the science of cryptanalysis. And so I encourage everyone out there to go ahead and look at the things I've done and look at their own sorts of areas of interest that they think there might be something worth noting and trying your hand at it, because you never know what you're going to find. Also, let's see, tonight I'm going to give... I need to give my good buddy John Edwards a big shout out. He has yet another acquisition for his library. He was on my last episode of The Ghost of Bacon, showing his latest find, the book from Dr. Orville Ward Owen, with his cryptanalysis techniques, and unfortunately he was completely debunked by William and Elizabeth Friedman and the experts of cryptology back in the day. And so we were able to really kind of unpack that on the last episode. It was a lot of fun, but what a great piece of history. And he has yet another that he just posted in the Ghosts of Bacon group. And if you haven't seen, that post, go check it out. So just looking at some of the comments here. Hey, Patty. All right, a lot of people saying, I'm going to put this one up just because I love this comment so much. Carolyn Anderson writes, I'm a member of the Bacon Cooking Society. I was today too, Carolyn. Who does not love that? Yeah, Kat, yum bacon. And Daniel, is this a comment regarding what I said about the Rosy Cross? You, as usual, my friend, are your instincts are spot on. However, things are not, as we know with these guys, are not always what we think they are on the surface. So yes. And let's see. Oh, cool. Decoder Ring. Glad to see you join us again tonight. Found this yesterday. The Arkwright Building at the University of Nottingham in the UK has statues of Bacon, Shakespeare, Milton, and Newton over their entry doors. That's pretty cool. Did not know that. Awesome. So again, throwing a lot of this information out there for the first time this coming year with my next book. I mentioned this in previous shows regarding because my work actually debunks the Prince Tudor theory. Because that is such a sacred cow, if you will, of the Francis Bacon Society, as well as a lot of other people, particularly the people in the De Vere camp, people who believe that De Vere was the one who wrote Shakespeare. Um, I tend to catch a lot of flack from people who are actually refusing to look at my decryptions of my work, and I get it, because when you come out and you say this is what I've discovered, and it kind of poo-poos one of my personal favorite theories. Next thing you know, it's everyone else's too, and well, it's not received well. However, all I can do is just report on what these ciphertexts say. We now have replication. We now have repeatability. The very backbone of the scientific method. Other people are repeating the same messages that Sir Francis Bacon was the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, and Francis II. Now, people always want to point to all of the information that's already out there, trying to prove that he was actually the son of Queen Elizabeth I. All of the reasons why Francis II and Mary couldn't have children, blah, blah, blah. And when I put this in, I'm already familiar with all that information, folks. I've been studying this stuff for the better part of 20 years. So I'm very familiar with all of that circumstantial evidence. However, once I found the truth, I had to share it, and I continue to do so. Oh, yes. I see what you're saying, Daniel. In regards to the Tempest, was that John Dee inspired? Well, the jury's still out on that, because there are a lot of people who, again, that's one of the ideas out there for sure, that Dr. John Dee was the model behind the character Prospero in The Tempest. But there are other candidates as well, in particular, Sir Walter Raleigh, of all things. So when all is said and done, and we really start to delve into the question of who John Dee was, and what he actually accomplished, what he did, and what his part in all this was. Once again, what we all think we know, unfortunately, is a little different than some of the things that I've been uncovering. But yeah, Daniel, for sure, that's one of the main theories out there, is that John Dee was the model of Prospero in The Tempest. So listen, gang, as I said, this is going to be a quick one tonight. Just wanted to give a little roundup of, where we've been, what I've done, and where we're headed next. And I think that some of the announcements in my next book, The Keys of the Rosy Cross, they're not going to disappoint. And I think that they're going to be no less shocking than when I announced that Sir Francis Bacon stated that his best alias was Samuel de Champlain, of all things. Quick question. Oh, great question, Daniel. Thank you. Jake, what are your thoughts on the 90-foot stone cipher? For as long as we've known each other, I don't recall us talking about it. I try not to, Daniel. That's why we haven't talked about it, my friend. In all seriousness, people ask me all the time, if I've looked at the cipher on the 90-foot stone. And yes, of course I have. I think we all have. But I have a real big problem with it. And my problem with the 90-foot stone cipher is we have no provenance that's what the 90-foot stone cipher even looked like. If it had that type of cipher on it, which is a variation of a Freemason cipher, replacement cipher, as well as James McQuiston has most recently come out with his theory that it's based upon a cipher used by Mary, Queen of Scots, which I find very interesting. If it were used that way, all of the depictions of the 90-foot stone that I've seen have actually had spaces between the words on the 90-foot stone. If you're using that type of replacement cipher, you do not put spaces to give someone trying to crack the code hints on where the words start and stop. That's a no-no. So in my mind, that was a big red flag that that depiction is a fake. And so basically what I've done, when I first started looking at this information, I did look at it and I had my own interpretation of it, in the sense that it was more of a pictograph than it was an actual replacement cipher. And it also includes symbols that are actually mathematical symbols, in my opinion. As far as the provenance of it, this is why I never touch it, is simply because at this point in history, we have no definitive proof that it was real. We just have the legends and the stories. And then also it shows up in a window of a book publisher, I think it was, as a promotional item. And so that's something that would be kind of easy to put together and say, oh, by the way, if you've ever heard the story, this is the actual stone. And it wouldn't necessarily need to be the real stone, if you know what I'm saying. So I don't know. I don't really delve into the 90-foot stone cipher at all because of those reasons. If I had an image of the original stone, and if the story of its discovery wasn't simply repeating the legend of the three sojourners from the Book of Enoch, as well as Court Lindahl has pointed out on multiple occasions, it also is repeated in Countess of Pembroke's Arcadia by Philip Sidney, has the same exact story in it. And so because of those reasons, I know that the story of how it was discovered, in my opinion, is a fabrication. Were there 9 levels of the money pit? Yeah, maybe, probably. Was there a stone at the bottom of it? Maybe, probably. But is that the stone that we're all familiar with looking at? I don't think so. That's just my opinion, Daniel. Yeah, you're welcome, my friend. That like I said, you know me, I like to be able to connect all the dots before I really get into something. So such a great question. And I do get it all the time because, everyone thinks I'm the cipher guy. So great question. And Soltron, great question. Have any Stratfordians or Oxfordians said anything about the references to the Stratford plaque in the Manus Vernomiani? No. No, they haven't. In fact, Sir Francis Bacon is the only one that was commemorated on his death and referred to as a hidden poet or secret poet in Manus Vernomiani. And none of the other candidates were ever honored in such a way. So no, they don't really bring that up because it's evidence against their positions. Great question, Soltron. Thanks, Daniel. Jan, great question. Is there any difference between the spelling of the name Stewart and Steward? My family tree has both spellings in all the line from the fifth. Oh, wow. Well, Jan, you're descended from royalty. Basically, the reason it originally was spelled Steward because there weren't any kings of Scotland. There was just a steward, and they became the Steward line, and eventually they spelled it as Stuart. And so that's where the name actually comes from. So yeah, they're one and the same. Great question. Yeah, cat Doctor Who. You guys are too funny. Well, listen, gang, like I said, it's going to be short and sweet tonight. And also I want to take the time to say thanks. So many great friends and connections out there, people I've been talking with. And, keep the comments coming. I really appreciate your support. And I want to give a shout out to my good buddy, Bill Smith, the Peter Easton expert. He and I have been working on something behind the scenes. I think that some of you have kind of heard about that when we were on the Jeff Friedman podcast. So we'll be keeping tabs on that, and you can stay tuned, and I'll keep you apprised of where that heads next. In the meantime, I want to say thank you again, and I appreciate you popping on and watching me ramble here for the last 20 minutes or so. And once again, always the best questions, always the best comments. You guys are the best. So till next time, take care of each other, stay safe, and see you in a couple weeks. Bye now.